Welcome, friends. This is A Course in Miracles, Palm Beach Study Group. Today we're on Chapter 14, Section 2, The Happy Learner. The Holy Spirit needs a happy learner, in whom his mission can be happily accomplished. You who are steadfastly devoted to misery must first recognize that you are miserable and not happy. The Holy Spirit cannot teach without this contrast, for you believe that misery is happiness. This has so confused you that you have undertaken to learn to do what you can never do, believing that unless you learn it, you will not be happy. You do not realize that the foundation on which this most peculiar learning goal depends means absolutely nothing. Yet it may still make sense to you. Have faith in nothing, and you will find the treasure, quote unquote, that you seek. Yet you will add another burden to your already burdened mind. You will believe that nothing is of value and will value it. A little piece of glass, a speck of dust, a body, or a war are one to you. For if you value one thing made of nothing, you have believed that nothing can be precious, and that you can learn how to make the untrue true. So again, they're starting out by just explaining to us how the ego world works. It's a conundrum, it's a contradiction, it's an insane thought system, and it's convoluted, and we already know that, but it's just restating that. Paragraph 2. The Holy Spirit, seeing where you are, but knowing you are elsewhere, begins his lesson in simplicity with the fundamental teaching that truth is true. This is the hardest lesson you will ever learn, and in the end, the only one. Simplicity is very difficult for twisted minds. Consider all the distortions you have made of nothing, all the strange forms and feelings and actions and reactions that you have woven out of it. Nothing is so alien to you as the simple truth, and nothing you are, and nothing are you. Let me start again. Nothing is so alien to you as the simple truth, and nothing are you less inclined to listen to. The contrast between what is true and what is not is perfectly apparent, yet you do not see it. The simple and the obvious are not apparent to those who would make palaces, and royal robes of nothing, believing they are kings with golden crowns because of them. So again, this is describing somebody who is immersed in the ego world. And the simplicity that the truth is true is simply saying that the truth is spirit. And it is very simple. The ego makes everything very complicated and takes on all different forms and and shapes and sizes and colors, and yet the simple reality is that we're spiritual beings, and as spiritual beings, that is the truth, and that is just the very simple thing. Paragraph 3 says, all this the Holy Spirit sees and teaches simply that all this is not true. To those unhappy learners who would teach themselves nothing and delude themselves into believing that it is not nothing, the Holy Spirit says with steadfast quietness, the truth is true. Nothing else matters. Nothing else is real. And everything beside it is not there. Let me make the one distinction for you that you cannot make, but need to learn. Your faith in nothing is deceiving you. Offer your faith to me, and I will place it gently in the holy place where it belongs. You will find no deception there, but only the simple truth, and you will love it because you will understand it. I'm going to read that again. The truth is true. Nothing in the ego matters. Nothing in the ego is real. And everything in the ego is not there. Let me wake, that's Holy Spirit, let Holy Spirit make the one distinction for you that you cannot make while you're in the ego, but that you need to learn. Your faith in the ego is deceiving you. Offer your faith to Holy Spirit instead, and I will place it gently in the holy place where it belongs, i.e., heaven. You will find no deception there in the spirit world, but only the simple truth. And you will love it because you will understand it once you have transitioned your mind into understanding that you are spirit and that you are in spirit and that you are not truly in the ego, which is just a dream. Are there any questions, comments up to this point? Paragraph 4. Like you, the Holy Spirit did not make truth. Like God, he knows it to be true. He brings the light of truth into the darkness and lets it shine on you. And as it shines, your brothers see it, and realizing that this light is not what you have made, they see in you more than you see. They will be happy learners of the lesson this light brings to them, because it teaches them release from nothing and from all the works of nothing. The heavy chains that seem to bind them to despair, they do not see as nothing until you bring the light to them. And then they see the chains have disappeared, and so they must have been nothing. And you will see it with them, because you taught them gladness and release, They will become your teachers in release and gladness. So again, there's only one of us. What we do to our neighbors, we do unto ourselves. And what we do for ourselves, we do for our neighbors, for our brothers and sisters. And so when you allow your spiritual light to shine, it does impact all the people that you come in contact with, and even all of humanity, whether you're in contact with them or not. All of the billions of people on this planet are, in fact, benefited by your spiritual light. And you benefit from them in return. And why? Because there's only one of us. Any questions, comments? Paragraph 5. When you teach anyone the truth is true, you learn it with him. And so you learned that what seemed hardest was the easiest. Learn to be a happy learner. You will never learn how to make nothing everything. Yet see that this has been your goal and recognize how foolish it has been. Be glad it is undone. For when you look at it in simple honesty, it is undone. As I said before, quote, be not content with nothing, unquote, for you have believed that nothing could content you. It is not so. This paragraph is just restating what was already said. Paragraph 6. If you would be a happy learner, you must give everything you have learned to the Holy Spirit to be unlearned for you, and then begin to learn the joyous lessons that come quickly on the firm foundation that truth is true. For what is built there is true and built on truth. The universe of learning will open up before you in all its gracious simplicity. With truth before you, you will not look back. I'll reread that. In order to be a happy learner, give everything you have learned about the ego and in the ego to Holy Spirit. Just turn it over to Holy Spirit. And Holy Spirit will help you unlearn all of that ego stuff. And then you'll be able to learn the joyous lessons that come from Spirit. For what's built in Spirit is true, and what's built in Spirit is built on truth. And the universe will open up before you in all of its gracious simplicity. And you will not look back to the ego once you've crossed that line. Any questions, comments? Paragraph 7. The happy learner meets the conditions of learning here as he meets the conditions of knowledge in the kingdom. All this lies in the Holy Spirit's plan to free you from the past and open up the way to freedom for you. For truth is true. What else could ever be or ever was? This simple lesson holds the key to the dark door that you believe is locked forever. You made this door of nothing, and behind it is nothing. The key is only the light that shines away the shapes and forms and fears of nothing. Accept this key to freedom from the hands of Christ, who gives it to you, that you may join him in the holy task of bringing light. For, like your brothers, you do not realize the light has come and freed you from the sleep of darkness. So the Holy Spirit will free us from the past and open the way to freedom. We made this door, the dark door of the ego from nothing, and behind the ego is nothing, and the key is only the light of spirit that will shine away the shapes and forms and fears of the ego. Paragraph 8. Behold your brothers in their freedom, and learn of them how to be free of darkness. The light in you will waken them, and they will not leave you asleep. The vision of Christ is given the very instant that it is perceived. Where everything is clear, it is all holy. The quietness of its simplicity is so compelling that you will realize it is impossible to deny the simple truth. For there is nothing else. God is everywhere, and his Son is in him with everything. Can he sing the dirge of sorrow when this is true? Behold your brothers in their freedom. Behold your brothers in the Spirit, in other words. Realize that there is that of God in everyone. Realize that everyone is a spiritual being. And learn of them how to be free of the darkness, how to be free of the ego. And that's by your shining the light of Spirit through yourself onto them, and the process of forgiveness. It doesn't mention that, but that's coming. The process of doing this is letting go of the guilt, which we've already learned about, and then the next step is forgiving, but with true forgiveness, which is the understanding that none of it was real, so everybody is innocent. And you're innocent as a spiritual being. All of the terrible, guilty things that you've done in ego are meaningless. Embrace your spiritual selves, let go of guilt, turn it over to Holy Spirit, and forgive yourselves and others, because none of it happened. It was just happening in a dream. We've actually reached the end of this reading for today, so you may unmute yourselves and we can open the room to discussion.
Hi, Helen. Hello?
Helen is in the car, so she should be
Oh,
able to respond.
okay.
Hi
Good
there.
morning. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Helen.
Hi there.
Okay, David, did you have something you wanted to say about today's reading?
I thought of an instance. I was in Walmart and I was watching Diane pick out vegetables, and there's a little lady piling pears in her arms. She didn't have a basket or a bag or anything. And I said, I looked at her and I looked to see where the bags were, and they were way up high. I could hardly reach them myself. So I went over and got her a bag, and um, I said, "You may need this." And she smiled. I don't think she spoke English, but I felt a oneness connection, and like it was nothing I had to do, but I felt, why not? And she felt good about it. We were
Yes,
smiling.
that's a perfect example of just, being a spiritual being in the ego world. You recognize that there was a problem, you recognize that you could help, you had the understanding and compassion to be giving and helpful, and you, in that small little thing, you passed the light of spirit to that woman. And that was
Yeah, I thought
a
of
beautiful thing.
what example in my life caused me to do a thing like that. I thought of my father. He used to hold doors for people, and he would let people into traffic. Little things
Yes,
made it, a better world. It doesn't cost you a cent.
that's
And
right.
that we have automatic doors now. You can't hold a door for anybody.
Well, there's still some opportunities.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Ed, what do you have to say?
Well, I've experienced those feelings as well. And I don't know, it takes me back to a time in my youth and where I grew up, where people went out of their way to be kind. And I don't see as much of that today here. And I uh, but I want to continue carry it on, and and uh, and it's not that it isn't here; it is here, but it's just not as prominent as I remember it.
Yes, the important thing is what you do. If other people are not being kind and considerate, that's on them. That's their karma. But the important thing is that each one of us try to be the best spiritual being that we can be while living in the ego world. And that's all that it comes down to. You just try your best. Yes, David?
I said, setting the example. I'd written something on Facebook. I can't remember what it was, but I put a question out there. How do you teach other people to be kind and loving? And I said, and I got an answer back from a cousin of mine. He says, simple, just set the example.
There you go, by example.
Yep. And my that cousin used to go and work with my father and help him out. And I think he probably learned it from my father. And all these things come together after a while when you're conscious. But the big thing is that for me is not being afraid to be loving towards people, and that catches on too.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Let go of the fear. Don't be afraid to love. Very good.
I'd just like to chime in just for 1 second. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Ed, it's very interesting that you brought that up, like I can relate to what you're saying. It seems as though over the past year, I've been called to Woodstock, New York. And from there, it brings me back to a time when I was so happy and joyful, and I was a totally different person, less burdened. Of course, a lot of it has to do with experience. I didn't have the experiences that I've had, which is a sidebar. So I find myself going back to a time when I was really happy. And that has presented problems for me because then I would endure some guilt. And so I've been experiencing going through that, being part of ego. So I particularly like paragraph 4 when it said, you shine your light, and then other people their chains will be broken. That's how helpful that could be. However, again, it has to come from within. So I find myself, I just love that so much because I do try to be kind and I do try to shine my light. But I particularly enjoyed that. There was another part, I don't know what paragraph it was, but it mentioned give everything to the Holy Spirit and he will help with the undoing. He will help us undo these what we don't want any longer, because we're heading towards the light, living in that light, being of love.
Yes,
And
thank
that's
you,
my-
Helen. That was paragraph 6. If you would
Okay.
be a happy learner, you must give everything you have learned to the Holy Spirit to be unlearned for you, and then begin to learn the joyous lessons that come quickly on the firm foundation. The truth is true.
And I think that step is very important.
Yes, it is. Yes, we've been told over and over again, we've been instructed throughout the course that the Holy Spirit is there for us, but we have to turn it over to Holy Spirit. We have to use our free will and make that decision that yes, we're going to turn that over to Holy Spirit. Yes, we're going to ask Holy Spirit to guide us and help us. Yes, we're going to allow Holy Spirit to show us the way. We have to make a conscious decision to do that, because Holy Spirit will not force itself upon us. It's always standing there waiting in the wings, like our guardian angel, just watching us and keeping tabs on us. But until you use your free will and give your consent for Spirit to help you, it's powerless to do anything because it will not infringe on your free will.
amazing.
Song pops into my head. The Smile on Your Brother. And I'm not sure if I remember the rest of the
Yeah.
word.
Smile on your brother.
And you'll understand something. I think that was the rest.
Yeah, that sounds like a Woodstock song.
I know what song you're referring to, but now my mind goes blank too.
Smile on your
And
brother.
love is something about love, everybody. The refrain.
Yeah.
Everybody get together and
And
love
love one
one
Love
another.
one another right now. Yes.
Got
another.
it.
Everybody
That's
get
great.
together and love one another right now.
Yep,
May
that's
have
it.
been- That may have been at Woodstock too.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Well, thank you, friends, for joining me this evening. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you again next time. Unless there's any last minute comments about our reading for tonight.
I'd just like to say we are one.
We are one. Thank you for reminding us once again. All righty, friends, let's have a moment of silence and then we'll end our recording.